Hello, peers. This is Victor Akimande, and my recording today is on developing entrepreneurship within an existing organization. The intention for this entrepreneurship recording is to communicate one central message: how organizations can intentionally design and sustain entrepreneurship program that turns employee into strategic innovators who drive long-term competitive advantage. There are three key takeaways. Number one, what is entrepreneurship and why it matters for organizational growth? Number two, the strategic elements required to build an effective entrepreneurship program. And number three, action steps entrepreneurs can take to begin implementing or strengthening entrepreneurship within their own firm. So, what is entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is when we allow employees to act as entrepreneurs within the organization, creating new ideas, products, and processing using internal resources to drive innovation, adaptability, and competitiveness. You can see this as a case study in that of Google. Google actually developed a concept of using 20%, allowing staff to use 20% of their time to create new products and ideas. And this was what gave birth to Gmail, Google News, and several other. And that's a very powerful something that you can see within an organization. So my first takeaway, entrepreneurship matters today. As entrepreneur, we must create an environment for entrepreneurship because it's going to help firm adapt to changing market. We're going to help retain creative and ambitious talent. When we create such an environment, it will support long-term innovative pipelines. There's a quote that I love that said, innovation is everyone's job. And you can also see this in the 3M autonomy culture that gave birth to so many of these products that we see many organizations that are churning out. Uh, Entrepreneurship as a competitive engine. When you embrace entrepreneurship, it helps build businesses from within the organization. It strengthens organizational resilience. It produces innovation externally. You see, the next billion-dollar idea may already exist within your firm right now. That's what you see. Amazon, Amazon was able to also tap into this with their online services, their internal pool. And you can look at it. The record shows that because they embrace entrepreneurship, it has generated over 80 billion revenue businesses for them. Now, another thing you can see is that strategic purpose and alignment. When we align with entrepreneurship, it connects innovation to long-term strategy. We identify revenue, the process, the customer impact opportunity. We set goals clearly for innovation team. Purpose gives innovation direction. Every time there's a purpose, it gives innovation direction. This also we can see in the case of Amazon. Their global cloud dominance today was battered by their ability to create an innovative culture. Now, leadership and culture, you know, no matter how much you want to develop entrepreneurship within your organization, there must be leadership. Leadership means you must have a committed leaders. Senior leaders must model curiosity and experimentation. It's not just telling them to go do it. The best way to help them do it is to model it. And you create an environment that says, listen, failure reframed learning, not punishment. When you allow people to stretch out of their comfort zone, even if they fail, I love what John Maxwell said. He said, when you treat failure, you treat it as failing forward. You are not punishing anybody for using resources and it did not produce result, but you encourage them to create a culture of risk taking and bold ideas. You allow them to break out of their own comfort zone. So innovation without psychological safety is going to lead to disaster. We're going to you create an open environment where people can pitch. They can even pitch ideas and they can even win some resources as a result of doing that. Now, we also have to create structural program design. We have to create the right entrepreneurship structure. Everything that is going to become very great must be structured different. So that means we will have to create innovation lab, internal incubators, or venture studio. You have to provide autonomy. You have to provide accountability. There will be governance for evaluation and scaling, because structure amplifies creativity. We have seen several companies do stuff like this Mastercard Lab, internal fintech engine. There are so many reports that are shown that when there is a structure, people bring out the best for themselves. Another thing we can see is resources and talent development. So when we fuel entrepreneurship, we give them tools and training. You inspect what you expect. I always say to my team that whatever we expect, we have to inspect. And so we have to allocate innovation budget and mentorship. We have to provide coaching, cross functional training, and leadership development. We have to build entrepreneurs' mindset across every team. Immediately people come into the organization, like even at 250 celebration, we are trying to build something national across United States. So we allow people to do what we call entrepreneurial mindset. We expect it, we showcase it. You know why? Because talent is the fuel for innovation. Talent is the fuel for innovation. And in Shell, as a case study, there is always what we call the internal innovation grant. You open an atmosphere for people to compete for resources. When they bring something very ingenious, then they give them a grant. I think we all can tap into something like this. It doesn't need to be that much. It can be little, but is the mindset that is most important. Another thing that we have to do is idea generation and evaluation. We have to create a strong innovation pipeline. Something like host hackathons, challenges, pitch days. You help people to enable them to submit their ideas at all level. You create an environment for transparent evaluation. The best idea often comes from the front line. That's what Peter Drucker said in 2002. And so Starbucks mobile app was driven by the employee. You see, Starbucks, their mobile app was a creation of the employee ideas. And so I'm just trying to let us know that the more we create this kind of concept, it doesn't need to really be a big organization. It can be as small. It's just a culture. Then we also have to create execution, scaling, and integration, turning ideas into scalable solutions. The first thing we have to do in that is to create a pilot program. From the pilot program, you lead to the test. From the test, you do validation, and from validation, you scale. That is to say, we have to create an environment where we measure the return on investment, user adoption, and revenue impact. We integrate successful venture back into the corporate strategy. That is to say, immediately people begin to create things that aligns with the organization, we integrate it back into the corporate strategy. Scale turns creativity into value. That's what Accenture said in 2023. And like I said, the Gmail today that everybody is using was a result of creating 20% of the time of employee at work to bring out something within them. I used to say to myself, the brain must sweat before sweet can come out. If you allow your brain to sweat, sweet will come out of it. So there is so much opportunity, so much that can be done when we allow entrepreneurship. In conclusion, and a call to action. Number one, entrepreneurship is building the future from within. That's very, very important. Entrepreneurship is building the future from within. So the moment you begin to look at your organization, no matter the level, and you begin to tell yourself that, oh, we are going into the future, then what will the next 10 years, the next 20 years, the next 50 years hold? One of the greatest way to challenge and bring out the best is using entrepreneurship as a tool of building the future from within. Entrepreneurship transform employee into change makers. Leaders must learn culture that nurture internal innovation. A sustainable entrepreneurship program becomes a competitive advantage where people can stretch and bring out the best from them. The future of competitiveness belongs to entrepreneurs. And so, in summary, when you empower your people, you unlock the future. I love that. When you empower your people, you unlock the future. I have some few references here that can be of guide, and I just thank you for listening. I hope this brief insight can guide you into creating an enabling environment for developing entrepreneurs. Thank you for listening.